everyone, it's Lindsay from My Crafty Plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I am so excited. Today I'm going to be planning for the month of January, and I've got a brand new planner to do that in. This is the Erin Condren Family Organizer. This is the Harmony Neutral colorway, and this is what I'm going to be using for monthly planning this year. And I'm going to be using this for family stuff, but for all areas of my life as well, for work, for social media, for finances, for family stuff, for house, for literally everything. This is my main workhorse monthly planner. I'm so excited. So it's got the standard kind of monthly calendar here that I do my whole color-coded scheduling thing on. That is not going anywhere. I will definitely be doing that again. This is a Sunday start planner. This was like my only hang up with this planner. I much prefer a Monday start. I will not be redating this. I will be just using this as a Sunday start. If it really drives me later, I could try it out later in the year, but I'm gonna try and go with the Sunday start for this month at least. And not just because the Sunday is the first and it's like the perfect calendar layout, but you know, maybe that has something to do with it. But anyway, so we're gonna work with this kind of framework and create that color-coded monthly calendar that I always do. I did like tweak my life categories from last year, but it's overall mostly the same. You will see that in a second. And then there's just tons of dashboard space in here that I'm super excited for. So we've got our recurring schedule. We've got some blank stuff over here. We've got like this little listed section, some family goals. Any of this areas may be repurposed as we work through this. We've got this little section down here that says habit tracking and task tracking. I am not 100% because this is a monthly planner, not a weekly planner. You only have one of these spreads, so I'm not really sure if you're supposed to like lay this out for each of the weeks. I haven't exactly decided how I'm going to put that together, but we will see in just a second. Then we've got this blank page here that says school, dates to remember, memories or milestones. And all of the memory stuff I'm not going to be filling out now. Obviously, that will come as I move throughout the month, but I will like kind of set the base for everything. This says extracurriculars. I don't know if I need a full page for that. Again, we've got memories or milestones, and then there's also 4 blank pages in here, which can be used for whatever. I may be drawing some spreads in here. I have some ideas, and then this is all memory keeping that you have at the end. So that's what the pages look like that we're working with here. Again, I'm going to start with the calendar and then sort of move through all of the dashboard spreads. I've also got Daily Duo, my new 2023 Daily Duo off to the side. This one is in the In Bloom colorway. I have historically used this dashboard spread, so I've got this over here to see if I still want to use this, but I don't feel the need to like duplicate all of the things. If it's easier to just have the dashboard spread be all in here, I'm totally fine with that and leaving that page blank in my Daily Duo. I do have some stickers that I'm going to be working with for this month. I decided I really just wanted to try and like match this pink and work off of that as a color template. And then I remembered that I had this super cute New Year's kit with all of these pinks and rose gold foil from Simply Gilded from the advent calendar, and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna use this. We've got some full boxes. We've got tons of date covers in here, like different flags and boxes, all kinds of stuff. And also some like deco pieces. I've also got these larger fireworks one. So I thought that would be kind of fun to bring in. I'm still gonna be using like markers to do the whole color coding thing. I actually have to grab my colors. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of go through, work through things and dive in. For this month, I'm going to be doing this as a sped up with a voiceover just because I've never used this planner before, and besides the calendar spread, I'm really just like still figuring out where everything's going to go, so I think it's going to take me a little bit longer than usual, but once I've got the hang of this, I am happy to film a talk-through plan with me. So I am going to throw it over to the voiceover and just jump in. So while I jump in and start with the decorations, let me just say I am so glad that I decided to do this as a sped up voiceover. This took me so long. Like I knew that it was going to take me much longer than usual, but this took seriously, I think at least 2.5 hours. It may have actually been longer. I just spent so much time thinking about this and changing my mind and trying to get everything organized and all set up. I definitely will need this process to be faster. That is too much time to be spending on this. However, I will say that I absolutely love how how everything turned out. And I think this is going to be so useful. And I do think that it will get faster as I kind of work my way through what's working, what's not working, and all of that kind of stuff. I just find that when I start a new planner, it's always a little bit slower at first. I absolutely love that the kit that I picked out for this, the Simply Gilded one. I think this is so much fun, and I had a really good time using these stickers, and I love getting to use these. They're so pretty, but I don't love the paper on them, so I tend not to use them as much in my functional planning. Plus, I had all these cute washies that matched, so I just really love how this spread comes together, and I think it matches with the January color so perfectly as well, which is kind of what I was going for. Got to use some of those new mandala washies as well, which I absolutely love. This spread is exactly the same as my monthly spreads from last year. I made one minor adjustment to my life categories, but otherwise this is going to work the same way and like be the same level of decorated as the spreads I was doing last year in my Agendio. Again, this is a Sunday start, which I do mess up in the first week, but then I fix it. So I did remember and not like create a whole mess in the planner. I just had to move one thing over. But other than that, this is pretty much the same. The change that I ended up making in my categories is I changed the YouTube to just be channels, like meaning all social media in case I want to schedule other things, which I know that I'm going to, especially since that is a major focus for me this year. And then I changed the heading on my work calendar to be industry work. It's going to house all the same stuff that it did last year, all of my freelance work, my consulting, and all of my writing, but I didn't want to get confused since I moved all of the social media stuff to the work category in my Maxi Life, and I just felt like that was like too many words of work, and I just wanted a little bit more distinction between the two. The other big change in this planner, which doesn't impact this spread, but it does impact kind of everything else, is that I decided to stick with this color scheme throughout the entire planner. Now, I will change this out every month, but I didn't use any of the Maxi Life category colors in here. I just used these life category colors throughout all of the dashboard spreads. They're applicable. It looks really cohesive, but we'll see if I ended up getting confused. So because that is a big change, because last year, whenever I was doing things like transferring things over for Maxi Life or on any of the dashboard spreads, I was previously using the Maxi Life colors. So we'll see how that goes. I, again, really like the way it looks, but it also needs to function. And there was like one section where I ended up just writing the Maxi Life categories next to it just so that I didn't get confused. So we'll see how it goes. It's only January, so we've got plenty of time to kind of get used to this planner and this planning style and figure out what works. So now I'm just going through and transferring things over from my Google Calendar, from the kids' schools calendars and different places like that, just to get everything going on. Again, this is not just like school stuff or family stuff. This is literally everything from my life. You may notice that this has a little bit less than it did last year, and that's because the first dashboard in here is a recurring schedule, which we'll get to in a minute. So I moved everything that was like a recurring thing, like my Monday work task that I always do, and the kids' piano lessons, anything that's every week, I moved that over to the recurring schedule. I am looking at this now and realizing that I forgot to put in the paydays and stuff like that. So I will have to go back and add that in. I feel like I always forget them. But other than that, this is like the same thing as last year. I check this every single week before I set up my weekly overview spread and before I do my weekly action items. And I also do add to this throughout the month. I like this to be totally up to date and reflective of our month. So I do keep adding to things as I schedule things in. But for longer term planning, I do use Google Calendar, and that's where a lot of this stuff is coming over from. Now I'm just adding in my video schedule for the month as well. So on this spread, I've mostly used the highlighters to kind of color code everything, but I did use a couple of stickers from my Planner Kate school sticker sheet as well. The color palette on those matches so perfectly. This is always one of my favorite functional spreads, and I do find it really useful, and I absolutely love how that one turned out. So now we're on to all of the dashboard pages, and this first double spread, so both of these pages are definitely the main workhorse dashboard spread. So this kind of has everything that I had in my dashboards last year, minus a couple of things and plus a couple of things. I'm starting with the recurring schedule. I did use date covers, didn't need them, but I just thought they would add like a little nice stickering touch. So anything that happens the same day every week, I tried to move into here. So a lot of stuff from my calendar that like all of my regular Monday work, the kids' activities, things like that all moved into here. And then I added to that some regular recurring tasks. So I pretty much always do grocery shopping on Sunday. I always do meal prep or lunch prep on Sundays and Wednesdays. I put in my daughter's like what her homework is for the day. She's in first grade. It's very predictable. She has homework Monday through Thursday. It's like 10 minutes long. And on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's reading. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's math. So it's very easy to kind of put that into a recurring schedule. I put in the days that the baby does not go to school. For some reason, I did that way instead of putting the days that she does go to school. I put in like our weekly cleaning service and just kind of anything like that. I also tried to put in pieces of my planning routine, anything that is like a regular weekly task. As I go through this month, I do expect that I may add to this a little bit as other things that I remember that I do, but this were just like all of the things that initially jumped out at me as either things that had previously been on the monthly calendar that were really more of a recurring schedule and or like tasks that are always at the same day each week. I did put in like a little bit of other stuff that's like not 100% always on the same day, like laundry, but is usually on the same day. So I did go ahead and put that we usually do laundry on Sunday. I usually also do it one other day per week, but that one does move around a little bit. So I didn't put it in anywhere since I didn't really feel like it belonged on any specific day. But as other tasks come up, I will add to it. Oh, one that I'm thinking of right now that I could add in this Monday is our trash day. I did not put that in, but I probably should add that one in as well. I've heard from others that they really like this for like putting down a weekly cleaning routine. I think that's a great idea. If that's something that you do, that you could add into this list as well. You could also color code this list by like person in your family, which is not something that I did or typically do, but like if you work part-time from home and part-time from the office and your significant other also does, you could kind of schedule that in by like assigning each person a color and then putting things like that on there. Like I know a lot of people are working hybrid right now, so things like that would be really useful to have on the recurring calendar as well. Obviously kids activities I think is probably the original intention that like Erin Condren had in mind, but again I think that this makes a really great monthly planner for anyone regardless of whether or not you have kids. There's just so much dashboard space, and that is why I picked this over just like a more general monthly calendar, which I was also looking at like a general monthly calendar both from Erin Condren and also from Plum Paper, since they do offer a Monday start, which I like. But it was the dashboards here that just absolutely sold me. I really just love a good dashboard spread. Speaking of which, now what I'm setting up in these two lined spaces, I decided this was the perfect area to put in my to schedule list, which I had a sticker that said appointment, so I just used that. So this is the list of things that I need to schedule throughout the month. So kids are supposed to go to the dentist in February, so I will go ahead and schedule that this month. Again, my car is supposed to go for maintenance in February, so go ahead and schedule that in for the month as well. But also we want to take a ski vacation, a little ski weekend over the course of this winter, so that's also going on my schedule list. And then that other one where I've put work, those are for like my freelance consulting and writing business, any projects that I have besides my regular Monday work list. Any of my other projects will go in that. So I have a couple things in there and then plenty of space to add to that if more stuff comes out. And then in this blank one, I just decided this was the perfect little space to add in a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of decoration. I love the stickers in this kit, and I think that box turned out so cute, so I'm really happy with that. You may see a lot of like sticky notes in here. I went through after I did the calendar, before I filmed this, and like kind of scripted out where I thought particular dashboards would go just to help keep me organized. I did move them around multiple times before they like got into their final position, which is probably why this took me so long. But yeah, that definitely was very helpful to like kind of piece together all of the pieces that I wanted to have in my dashboard spread and add that in here. So then under that header goals, I decided to use that one since this is the list that I'm migrating over from my Moxie Life. So this is my monthly to-do list. This is anything from my goals planner, from my January goals that is a concrete task. ended up in this list. And now I went through with the dot marker, and because I would usually color code this according to the Moxie Life colors, but I didn't want to ruin the beautiful aesthetic of the January spread, so I decided to just use the pink dot marker and then just put in the initial or the first two initials of whatever category it is. So that first one is a finance thing, so it's got an F, and oh no, it's a fun thing, so it's got a fun. I'm going to have to change that because I realized that finance and fun both start with F. I caught the other ones like H for health and HO for house. But anyway, I'm going to have to fix that a little bit. But this is my solution to the non-Moxie Life color coding. We'll see how this works. I'm not 100% convinced that this is going to be as easy as the actual Moxie Life colors, which I feel like are so ingrained in my brain from using that planner all last year. But I do really like the way the spread looks, so we'll see. Anyway, up in the family goals section, I moved a few of the goals from my January goals that were like around things we wanted to do together as a family or things we were working on together as a family, and I went ahead and put those in that section. And then I split these habit trackers into habits for myself and habits for the family, although mostly it's just habits for the kids. My husband is a grown-up and he can manage his own habits himself. I set up what I wanted to be working on, what I plan to track for in my weekly spreads. I'm not going to do any habit tracking in the monthly calendar, but I will track different habits when I set up my weekly overview spread. So I've got a list to pull from there, and a list for myself and a list for kids. And I do sometimes track the kids' habits in my own weekly habit trackers as well. I just feel like that, obviously raising my children is like one of my primary functions. So I don't mind giving up some of my planner space where I'm working on myself to help work on that. Because it feels like even though it is their stuff, they're young enough that I do feel like their habits are firmly my responsibility, or mine and my husband's responsibility, especially when it comes to things like screen time, because none of my kids are old enough to turn on the television. Well, they can all turn on the television, but they can't cast anything to it by themselves. So, we are fully in control of that still at this point. Anyway, the next page is a school page. I just set this up as I'm going to divide this page into the two schools we go to. I highly doubt I will need all of this space, so I may reevaluate this later on, but I went ahead and put in like a section for preschool and a section for elementary school. I could potentially use some of this space for my PTA stuff as well, because I am on the PTA for our elementary school and I'm actually a class parent for the preschool, so I guess I could put that in there as well too, but that honestly is not a very lot of work, and it won't be any work this month, I don't think, just because mainly it's just coordinating gifts for the teachers at the appropriate times, which just happened because we just did holiday gifts. Anyway, I just decorated that a little. For the dates to remember, I did do my plan is to do some things that are not school related, not just going to keep that all school, but just anything that felt like it needed to be remembered. I don't typically find those super, super helpful because the calendar spread is just much more how my brain functions as far as dates go, but I did set it up and I put in any of the school days in there, but honestly, all of those are also on my calendar spread. Then all of the memory stuff I'm going to fill out throughout the month, obviously, or towards the end of the month, because, when I was filming this, there was literally one day in January that had happened. Anyway, the next spread, again, this is one where I don't feel like I necessarily need all of this space, but I also felt like there was a lot of extra space in here, so I didn't feel like I was missing anything from my dashboard. So this one says extracurriculars. We have piano. The kids started piano lessons, the two big ones, earlier this year, although my son is 4 and he just does a little 15-minute pre-lesson. My 6-year-old, I find that I think that she's really good at it. For a 6-year-old, I have no musical talent whatsoever or ability, so I'm not the best person to judge that, but she seems to have taken to it really well, and infinitely more important, she enjoys it so much. So I just thought that would be nice to have a little place to keep track of the songs that she's been working on in particular, and anything that my son is also working on, although it's much less of a deal for him, but she is enjoying that, and she really likes working on her songs and everything. So I thought that would be a good place to keep track of. So then you get 4 blank notes pages. So they are lined. I prefer .grid, but these are still perfect for creating your own dashboard. And I don't know exactly what, you could use these for whatever you want. I'm sure people are going to use them for journaling or memory keeping, but I plan to make more dashboards on them. So on these first 2 pages, what I've done is I want to set up social media trackers. So I knew what I wanted to track, and I kind of had an idea of what like what I was going for with the YouTube one. So I went ahead and set that one up. And then I'm going to take a break, which you won't see on camera, but I had no idea what I wanted to track for Instagram or TikTok. And I actually still really don't. My initial thought was like do some research and then come back, but it ended up being like, I'm just going to set up a really basic space to put something in later, and then I plan to work on that later this month. So you'll see that when I do my February video. Hopefully by then I will have something more in mind for what I want to be tracking there. But I just thought this was nice to have, since social media and like that kind of stuff is on my goals for this year, and I really want to work on some of the analytics and like tracking a little bit better. And that is what I set up here. So I just went through and used the Dusty Pink mild liner, which was the mild liner that I used on the calendar for my social media tracker. A lot of this stuff was stuff that I was already tracking in the combination of my Agendio dashboard last year and my Erin Condren dashboard last year, but now it's just combined into one place. I did change my mind about the header at the top. I just decided I wanted to use some more of that washi, so I'm actually ended up putting a sticker over that to write in YouTube on top of the sticker. And I did use an oil marker on the Simply Gilded stickers because you can't use like a regular gel pen on them. Although somebody did tell me that you can use a ballpoint pen, so I do need to try that out. I totally forgot about that while I was filming this though, and I don't know that I have a ballpoint pen somewhere handy because it's not something I typically use. So again, I just set up a really basic layout for my other channels, and then I was sort of starting to think through the other pages that I wanted. So I just went in and made a February notes page on the very last page of this, the one that's opposite the February cover, and then I'm kind of working my way backwards now. So this last memory page that's in there, I set up my line a day memory keeper, and by the time I was filming this, it was actually the end of the day, January 2nd. So I'm going to go also and fill this out for January 1st and January 2nd, so you can kind of see what's going on there with that. I just especially wanted to do the one for January 2nd, which was our last day of winter break. That was Monday. And we had just had like the best and most fun day. So it was really fresh in my mind. I do this like every couple of days. I don't like to let it linger too long. Sometimes it does go like up to a week, but I do keep like a log on my phone that I use for memory planning. So I do feel like I always am writing things down when they're fresh. But especially when something really fun happens, I always feel like I want to grab my line a day memory keeper and write that in. And so then I had these last two notes pages left, and I decided to just make this like a guided notes section so I can just divide this space up into projects as we move throughout the month. I started with a basement thing. I will add to that over the course of the month, and you can check that out at the end. The last thing I did super sped up here is I cleaned my Kanban and my weekly planning board off, and then I'm just setting up my Kanban board for the month, putting in all of my work projects and like my Monday writings, and then putting in my YouTube videos for the month as well. All right, I've got everything all set up for January, or at least as set up as it's going to be at the beginning of the month. Again, this is a new planner for me, so I will still be working through this a bit, and I will definitely flip through my January pages when I film my February video. That way you can see how things worked out. So we've got our cover page here and the monthly calendar. Same format that I've been using for years for my monthly scheduling, except I pulled off some things that are like regular things every week, and I put them into the next page for the recurring schedule. So we'll see how that goes for now. My game plan is when I check in with my calendar before I'm filming like a weekly setup, or before I'm planning for a weekly setup, then I would also check in with the recurring schedule at that time. And I may again add to this as more things come up or as I think of things. Then up here, I've got my scheduling section. So this is all of the appointments that I need to schedule this month. A section for my industry work, my freelance work, are my to-dos that I've migrated over from my Moxie Life. So those are my goals from January that are concrete task-oriented goals. So anything that you could check off when you are finished goes in this list. The other part of my goals is either in the family goals section, if it revolves around the whole family, decided to take advantage of that section. And then also in this habit tracking, which is my habits, and the family-oriented habits, things that are goals that we have have for the kids, like the amount of screen time they get. Are they doing their homework, their piano practice, the last minute ad of no food in the car, all of that good stuff. Then we've got a little space here set up for notes divided between the two schools that we are community members of. My older one is in public elementary school and my two little ones are in preschool. We've got our dates to remember started. There will definitely be more school days to add in there, although I do have some non-school stuff in there as well. So as more dates come up, I will try and add them in here if I find that list useful, and then we can add in some memories or milestones there. And likewise, again, I don't know how much extracurricular space we're gonna need there. We don't have like a lot of extracurricular notes, but I figured I could start out by writing their piano homework for the week or the songs that they're working on. My oldest two did start piano lessons this year. I mean, mainly my 6-year-old, but my 4-year-old takes like a little mini lesson before her lesson, which is super, super cute. And then we've got milestones and achievements. Again, another memory one. And then these are gonna be my social media pages. I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do for YouTube. It's gonna take me a little bit longer to dive into the Instagram and TikTok stuff. I'm just not prepared to do that right now. So stay tuned. When I do my February video, I will definitely flip through and you can see what I'm tracking there if that interests you. And then this is just gonna be like a guided notes pages. So I've already got the basement section set up and I'll set up the rest just as needed, as I've got like other things. I always like to split my notes by like header or project or anything I'm working on. So I have plenty of space for that. And then we've got, again, more memory keeping here and my line a day memory keeper here. And if ever I've got a day where I need more space, like I did for today, which was just honestly such a great day, I can always draw an arrow and add more stuff in. There's plenty of memory keeping space in here. And I do end up with plenty of days in the month where I'm just like, finished a book, watched a good TV show. You know, some days you've got a lot to say and some days you don't. So anyway, that's it. And then I've got a section here, notes for next month. I always find that super helpful to have in any planner. I love notes for the next day, notes for the next week, next month, etc. So that is my January setup, all the dashboards. I am not going to set up the dashboard in my daily duo. If I do end up using that, I will let you know. But for right now, I think that this is way more than enough. And this, again, just took me forever to get set up this month. Hopefully it gets faster going through as I get more of a feel for the sections and what's useful and what's not, but it always takes me a little bit longer when I'm working with a new planner. I do absolutely love how it looks, like particularly these first 2 pages, just really, really feeling that. So I am so excited. I hope you enjoyed getting to see this. And if you did, definitely give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below. Let me know in the comments down below if you are using a monthly planner this year. What do you use the monthly spreads? Are you a dashboard person? I'd love to hear that. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I've got so much more fun stuff coming up this month and this year. You can also check me out on Instagram and TikTok at My Crafty Plans for even more stuff. Bye.